All right, folks. Friday Night Live with Carrie Brown doing business as Strong Roots Resources. Y'all let me know how the audio is. I got a lot of wind out here, and the high tunnel plastic is cool. Thank you, Pippin Eyes. The high tunnel plastic is snapping in the wind. Um, wow, it's been a week. It has been a week. It's pretty much been a good one, but we'll go over something that's a little bit screwball that's got me a little baffled, and I'd like to get your all's input on it when we get to that. But we'll hit our house cleaning, house sweeping, whatever we want to call that first. We're doing last minute notification reminder about the foraging class tomorrow, Saturday. Doing that here in Knoxville. Holler at me if you want to join. We've got 2 or 3 spots left, and we're going to spend about 3 hours wandering around the wood edges and the pastures, and we're going to see what all is out right now. And the answer is just about freaking everything. I even found passion flower earlier. So I'm going to hang out with these folks. We're going to find some stuff. We'll probably dig a few things for people who are interested, and just generally have a good time talking about plants, which is kind of one of my favorite things to geek out on. We will have another foraging class on the 26th. That's a Sunday. And then I don't really have my calendar in front of me, but the Sunday between tomorrow and the 26th, that would be the 19th, May 19th. I'm going to do a foraging and land study class for some folks out in Strawberry Plains, Tennessee, a little bit east of Knoxville. If you are on Telegram, look for the Building Community Resilience group. That is where all of that is being coordinated, and I'll shoot it out on the email list as well too. I've got a few emails to get out. Always rely on Mr. Alexevich's sarcasm there. You know, it's funny because I really didn't consider myself a plant guy until I found myself talking about it so much with people and enjoying that, and enjoying putting together guilds and things of that nature. I guess I just didn't ever apply that kind of title to myself, but it works. We'll roll with it. That's pretty much. Oh yeah. And then June 2nd, that's going to be the first Sunday in June, open house here on a farm, noon to 4. We'll have snacks. We'll do a tour. We'll show our systems. People can barter. They can bring stuff if they would like. $10 suggested donation to help us cover the food. So if you're in the Knoxville area and would like to come out, if you even feel like driving a little further and you want to camp for the night, we can certainly provide camping space. So you guys know how to find me, strongrootsresources@gmail.com, if you want to come out to any of this stuff. Yes, so it's been a busy week, and it's also been a week of having to reschedule stuff because the weather has been really screwball. We've had a lot of rain. We had some really rowdy storms 2 nights ago, pretty much had me up most of the night trying to make sure there wasn't about to be a tornado dropping onto us. We mostly got away with just heavy rain here on our end. There was a tornado in Columbia, Tennessee. There were a lot of tornadoes. I don't know if this weather is more unpredictable and wild than I remember, if it's just because I'm paying attention more. I'm not sure which one it is. But I just don't remember going through every single spring since we've been back out here at the farm. So going on 4 years now, we have had tornadoes pretty stinking close, with the closest one being last summer, half a mile south of us. So I I don't, maybe, like I said, maybe I'm just paying more attention. Maybe it's because we're at a different setup here. Maybe it's because we're on top of a hill. And sometimes I feel a little more vulnerable about that kind of stuff. But the weather is just, it's pretty bizarre. It's pretty bizarre. We're definitely going through some what I believe to be kind of cyclical changes, and it's really windy all the time. There's uh, just an odd feeling in the air, as best as I can describe it at the moment. Um, Ryan says it's gotten wild on their end of the state, and yeah, they're out there. His end it's flatter, and there are more tornadoes out that way, and I know, and I'm sorry because I know that was something that Corey asked me about in depth, and she's pretty pretty concerned about it, rightfully so. You guys are in a camper, so I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do when one comes through. But it's just wild stuff out there, and um, I don't usually listen to like the actual so-called news weather stations. I use Ryan Hall. I use my radar app, but I was coming back from a job when this weather came through on, I think it was Wednesday. Uh, all I could really do was drop off some materials at this job, and then I just had to scoot back out because this storm was bearing down on us. And so I just turned on one of the local news stations streams on my phone, and I was just noticing that they just use a different kind of language. I mean, I guess the technology has been updated. They have more tools available to them. It just seemed they seem to be relaying information differently with a lot more intensity than I remember. And I grew up actually paying a lot of attention to the weather because my grandmother was really into it. Nan was really into meteorology, and she always said later in life, she said, if I had known that that was an option to me, I would have studied to be a meteorologist, because she was just fascinated. She had this chart that she created for hurricanes. So she would plot the coordinates of the movement of a hurricane and kind of use mathematical modeling without a computer to see which way it may go. That was pretty neat. It was like kind of like a dry erase thing that she could write on, and she was into that. And um, she so we always watched the weather, and we always talked about the weather quite a bit. Um, so the weather continues to do the thing. And yeah, they have amped up the language. And I remember it's been a long time now. It's maybe even 15 years or longer since when I still used to kind of watch television. And there was a time that one particular news station here locally was kind of criticized for being overly dramatic. And so they started this tagline of, we want to prepare you, not scare you. And that's an awfully thin line, don't you guys think, between those two concepts? And then, of course, ultimately, how you react is your decision. So uh, I'm glad we have tools this in this day and age where we can obtain information without having to sit through corporate news stuff, because that gets real old. Hey, Chicken Duck, I'm glad you got to join us here. Thank you for making it in. And howdy, Bonnie. Who else have I forgotten? Pippin, good to see you. And appreciate you guys coming in here. I want to highlight Bonnie's comment here. Yeah, Nan was a very, very cool lady. She passed away in 2013. She had several hemorrhagic strokes, and the final one, was pretty much game over at that point. But she was widowed when she was young. Dad and we'll get to that, Chicken Duck. Dad was only 15 when his dad, Nan's husband, passed away suddenly. Had a heart attack at work, died. And so she had to raise children in a day where it was, uncommon to be, I mean, she was widow, but yes, a single mother. She was always quick to attribute how much help she got from her parents who lived next door, and taking care of everything. But she had to go back into the workplace and all this stuff. But she was fiercely independent, very smart. While she was kind of a worrywart, she also wasn't really afraid of anything. She was out taking vacations on her own, all out. Drove out to Arizona and drove the Natchez Trace and did all this different stuff. Um, Went up to Michigan a lot. She was a remarkable lady. Loved Braves baseball, so that's why one of the reasons why I like baseball, because I grew up watching baseball with her. And in a lot of ways, she was a kind of a third, more than kind of a third parent, and one of my best friends. So a lot of the interests that I have are because of her. A lot of the skills I have are because of her. And I also, it's very important to me that I conduct myself and my life in such a way to make her proud. That's deeply important to me, that I make my ancestors proud. So, but Chicken Duck wants to talk about plants and mowers, so we can do that. Um, I got a L series John Deere lawn tractor earlier, or last week. I guess it was Sunday, earlier this week, and uh, I needed some work wheels around here, really, really bad. Unfortunately, we kind of blew up the golf cart. Um, the Easy Go apparently got low on oil, and all of us who use it, none of us check the oil. I mean, I took responsibility for not looking at it, but none of us looked at it, and several of us use it up here. So it locked up. Tyler's trying to fix it. We're not sure how repairable it might be. And around that same time, I was starting to look for a just some kind of, I was calling it a runabout, because we've been watching Deep Space Nine. Um, I really needed just something to tow my little utility trailer that I had with no mower to pull it. To move sheep fence, gather posts, move a little bit of wood chips, just light duty stuff, but stuff where, with as many acres as I'm covering out here, me and a wheelbarrow, it gets old. So I got on Marketplace and I found this L series. I think it's like a 2006 for $250. This guy just needed to get it out of his way. He's kind of a repair guy, fix it guy for small engine stuff. And this was just one project he wasn't wanting to fool with anymore. Something had gone wrong with the deck. So he had pulled the deck, picked up a bunch of parts to repair it, and then just decided he didn't want to fool with it. He talked to me at length about the mower and told me everything that he knew about it. He had bought it off of a neighbor, and he just needed to get out of his way. So I agreed, $250. I didn't care about the deck, so I wasn't planning on using it for mowing. Plus, it's easier to get on and off one when you're not stepping over a deck. And so I went out there, went down to Maryville, picked it up. Starts fine, runs fine. I need to change the oil on it. Oil level's good. I need to change the oil and change the filter, because he wasn't sure when it was last done. Oil doesn't look awful. It's not super thin, not super black, but it'll still be good to do it. But what's weird about this mower, and he does not know, the guy I bought it from, he doesn't know how it happened, but it's the hydrostatic transmission. So you either push the pedal forward to go forward, or you stamp down on the bottom portion. It's like a rocker pedal to reverse. Well, the pedal function is reversed, and I can't figure out how it got that way. And so I asked, I think it was in Toolman Tim's group, and some people gave me some pointers. But after I looked at it further, and then my brother confirmed, it's not. So there's of course, linkage between this panel that goes to the transmission. Tyler looked at it and he said they've changed out the transmission, and when they put it back together, somehow something got reversed, and he doesn't see how it could be fixed easily without dismantling the whole thing, which I am not willing to do. So that said, the pedals are reversed. Not the worst. Although I mean, one of the reasons I got this thing was to help Angel out too, so she could get on something and she could kind of tool around when she wasn't up for walking longer distances, or just wanted to get somewhere a little bit faster. And it's a little hard for her to do the pedal like I've been doing. I had been hooking the bottom of my foot over top of the pedal and pulling it towards me, which isn't that bad. So I got some rope and some foam to make a little handle, tied it off to the pedal, and I have a hand control. And so you basically just kind of loop it, and I just kind of lock my bicep up. Sometimes I just kind of pull it in a little bit, and just one hand the steering. So here I go again with my incredibly redneck solutions, but it works. And I don't need to blast around here at 20 miles an hour. I just don't want to be pushing a wheelbarrow everywhere. And I just need to be able to haul about, I'm generally working with about 30 step-in posts at a time, a reel of line, sometimes a post hole driver, and it's just so much easier. So that's what I got. I tied a rope to it. I pull it towards me to go forward. And I actually don't reverse all that often because I don't usually find myself in that tight of a spot. Played around with the tires a little bit. The back tires they've got some dry rot. They're going to need to be replaced. But for its current function, I think I'll try to get by with them for a little while. They're both a little bit leaky. One had a plug in the sidewall. That plug actually is not leaking. I tested that, aired them up really good. Still couldn't find the leak. So I filled both back tires last night with a sizable amount of green slime and drove it around to kind of distribute it all around the tires. And normally I was having to air them up every day. And that's been over 24 hours and I haven't had to air anything up yet. So hopefully that'll get me on the tires for a while. Brian's asking, could you engineer a pedal to do what you need? Maybe. What I can't figure out is, so when I push the pedal forward, the linkage is set up so that it pulls, I guess it's the gearbox. I'm not really a transmission person. I don't even know how to visualize it. I'd have to pull up an image online. But anyway, when I push the pedal in, it pulls the linkage forward, and there's no, I don't see any way to change the linkage. I mean, I can put up another video and maybe some of you guys can help me think this through. This is where I'm kind of, I don't want to say, I'm not dumb. I know that, but I don't know if I'm like a little bit, I think I might be a little bit mechanically dyslexic because I have to, there's still times I have to tell myself if I'm working in reverse, if I'm threading something towards me, righty tighty, lefty loosey, except when you're reversed, and then except when it's one of your pedals on your bicycle or whatever. There's just, I'm a little bit, I ride the struggle bus with this just a little bit. So yeah, I just need, how do I create a linkage where if I push forward, I go forward when everything that's affected seems to be inside the gearbox? Okay, let me pull this up. Bless your heart, Brian. He's really trying to help me, and I'm over here just short bus central. Make something to slip under the current pedal to do what your rope is doing, but with your foot. Oh. Well, maybe. There might be space to pull that off. So if I am having to bring the pedal towards me, I wonder if I could, I don't know. Sorry, you guys are sitting through my thought process here. Maybe. It's one of those things, I don't know that I'm going to, the rope thing works for Angel, which was kind of my main thing. I set up and I made it in like a loop and a handle that's easy for her to manipulate. But yeah, if you saw any videos that would kind of help me visualize that, that's what I need. I have to be able to copy visually sometimes stuff like that. because I just can't. I can't create it in my imagination. Probably shouldn't have drank so much in my 20s and half of my 30s. Rock like a V. One side under the pedal and push the other with your foot. It rocks to you. Ask me on Monday. I will. I think I'm starting to pick up what you're throwing down here. So thank you for your help on that. Real working foot pedal thing, even a modification like he's suggesting, would be better than the rope. Because it's, I mean, after a little while, you kind of get tired of pulling on it. So cool. Yeah. Speaking of Monday, I'm going to go out to the Midwestern end of the state. I have a consult with a gentleman out there who I met at Self-Reliance Festival. I have a follow-up site visit for a current customer out there. And we're also going to spend some time, Brian and I, at Toolman Tim's property and talk about a variety of ideas he's got out there. So I'm looking forward to that. It might storm. We'll have to see. You know how it is. It could change, but it's kind of looking stormy maybe Tuesday. So yeah, Monday I have a bunch of stops, and Tuesday is my actual site visit with my new customer. Thank you for joining us, Cormac, and thank you for starting the designers group. I appreciate that. I added my buddy Ryan Steva, who is a designer and consultant in Middle Tennessee. Good friend, good guy, and he will be. I'm sure he'll be able to contribute there as well. Always good to have other people in a similar line of work to bounce ideas off of and to look to for suggestions and enlightenment, things of that nature. I don't think I've gone through all the animals yet, have I? No. So the sheep are really happy with everything that's coming up right now in the fields. They are they're hitting stuff hard and fast. I made them a paddock a day and a half ago. I thought I was going to get at least 48 hours out of it, and I didn't. Like, I had to move them this morning. They were getting down to dirt, and this was like lush the day before. Well, lush for us. So got to keep them moving. So I moved them this morning, and they're kind of in there's like this kind of wedge shape property space between Tyler's house and mom and dad's. And there's a line of kind of brushy stuff, and there's plenty of poison ivy and all kinds of fun things like that. So I'm going to let them spend, I'm assuming, a couple of days in there, and then move them right below mom and dad's house in their kind of lower field while I'm going to be out of town, because that grass is tall and thick, and they'll be squared away for a good 2 days while I'm away. So that they're doing great. Same numbers. Primrose the donkey is doing good. They're just those lambs. We call it the evening zoomies. Every night they are very playful as the sun is going down. It's super cute. Everybody's looking good. Everybody's looking healthy. Poops look good. With us starting to get hot now, we have to be on the watch again for any symptoms of this Barber pole worm. But we've already decided that if they show symptoms, we're just going to have to see who survives. I just don't want us to get locked into having to medicate. That's just not the route we want to go down. I want resilient sheep, so we will have to ride that out if it happens. I am hoping that because of the treatment that we did decide to do last summer, and then the way we were able to rest all the fields, and we had that really cold weather, I'm really, really hopeful that that at least lowered the potential numbers. And the fact that I'm moving these sheep as often as I am and not returning them back to anywhere inside of that parasite cycle, I'm hopeful we'll win the battle of that. Nature will sort it out. It always does. And that's when I get to my main topic. That's kind of going to be kind of going to be what we're going to be talking about. So a couple other cool things. Oh yeah, the rabbits and the chickens, they're doing great. Chickens are busy making compost for me. I have been throwing in bags of leaves and bags of grass clippings combined with, of course, their own manure, rabbit manure, table scraps, and they are in their enclosed run, which I've decided, I think I mentioned it last week, it's just not feasible for us to be trying to move the chickens every day right now. It's too much. So they are stationary in deep bedding, and I'm letting them make compost up right by all my other compost systems. So they're busy. They are remembering how to scratch. I think I mentioned last week that they weren't scratching a whole lot. Now that they have stuff to dig through, they are vigorously scratching and mixing everything up for us. So we'll get some soil out of this, or some compost for sure. They're doing good work. The rabbits are also doing well, pooping and eating. I have continued to decrease their pellet ration and increase their comfrey and other. I've got mulberry leaf coming in really good right now, and other high protein fodder. And I'm basically just observing them for any issues that could mean that they are, undernourished or not getting the nutrients they need. Because I would like to get them through the majority of, our growing season, not on pelletized feed. So, but we do need to make sure that they're getting the appropriate amount of protein and that sort of thing. Plus, all the 3 females are all nursing litters right now, so I want to make sure they're getting what they need. But this is kind of part of that whole, we want animals on what we produce here. I really don't want to be feed store dependent, even if it's just, it's not like my feed bill would be anything crazy for the rabbits. It'd be about $20 a month, but still, if I can do that on $0 a month, let's do it. So everybody's looking good, man. Rabbits really do grow fast. Those babies are not babies anymore. I mean, they're about like that, really cute, really zippy. they're at the stage where they're running all over the place in their hutch. So neat colors too. We've got these that are they look like calico cats. We've got some that are white with orange blotches, orange and brown. I don't really know what specific breeds they are. One I'm pretty sure is like a Florida white. It's all white with the red eyes. And then we have some black ones, which I think those are the New Zealand's all black kind of. Oh, no, it's the silver fox. I think silver fox are the black that kind of have almost like the salt and pepper look to their fur. But I like keeping them. I like what they're doing for the fertility. The 2 males are in their tractor. They move around twice a day, if not more. So it's going good. I'm happy. I'm glad I got the rabbits. It was a little wild there at first, trying to get everybody kind of situated, but now I've got a routine. We've got the chores figured out. So, and I've got my friends Emily and Josh who will give me some hand holding when it's time to do the first harvest, so I can get that under my belt. I've taken a class, but it's been a while. And it would be nice to have friends who do this regularly. Make sure I don't screw it up. I'm really happy with kind of the way we've been able to really close the loop on with the production of the manure and the compost and bettering the pastures and all. It's just, I really feel like we kind of hit our stride with that. And my practices are starting to show fruition. We're doing things like after we move the sheep, whatever's left behind, we are mowing that. I have gone back and forth on whether or not that was appropriate. Talked to some folks at the pasture management and agroforestry class last week, and in their opinion, after you have grazed an area, whatever they have not eaten is stuff that we don't want to encourage anyhow. So if it's something that is if it can be mowed, whether it's a weed or a grass or some kind of flower or something like that, that's good to mow. So I'm kind of getting on the same page with Dad and Tyler, where I can say, hey, this has been grazed. If it needs the regular mower, I'll do it. If it needs to be bush hog, Dad or Tyler will do it. And and we'll just go on from there. So it's really it's feeling good in terms of all that. It's feeling good out here. Chicken Duck says that holistic animal management is practically a lost art. Uh, Almost, but I tell you what, it's and maybe it's just because this is where I spend most of my time in this kind of regenerative space, but it's I saw some chart, who knows how accurate it was, but it said currently there are 670,000 acres being holistically or regeneratively farmed at this time in the continental United States. Now, that's not a lot, but it's a lot more than it was a decade ago. So I think the momentum's underway. It's a more common conversation. People are less weirded out. One of the guys a gentleman who was at the agroforestry class I was at last week, he is kind of a conventional cattle farmer, and he was asking the panel at the end of the day, how do I switch to this other, because he's like, I don't want a bunch of my animals to die. And the hard answer was, because we're talking about getting them off of medications, off of preventative stuff, and the answer from the panel was, you're going to lose some, and you have to accept that you're going to lose some, and just trust that you're going to come out better in the end. And if people want to read an account of a man who switched a conventional farm in, I think, South Georgia to completely holistic management, it's called, it's a good book and it's on my desk. A Bold Return to Giving a Damn. And I'm going to blank on that gentleman's name at the moment. A Bold Return to Giving a Damn, but it is a very, very good book. And I'm only maybe a third of the way into it, and he is talking about how the moment he realized the absurdity of what he was doing, and just the flash of instinct that he had to do it differently, that he was literally ruining his land, raising animals in a way that was not as kind as it could be, and he just whole hog just changed everything right away. Just stopped doing everything. And what was so interesting about it is it happened because he decided to observe something instead of just going through the motions. Yes, Will Harris. Thank you, Pippinized. Will Harris is the farmer. It's a heck of a book. Pippinized wants to know, do chickens like oregano? Maybe. It depends. I think every chicken's different. I thought my chickens were going to go wild over some sprouts that I had left over, and I think they eventually ate them, but not at first. So yeah, give it a try. I mean, some chickens like really aromatic stuff, and then others are kind of put off by it. I've noticed. I think it just depends on the bird. They do have quite the personality most of the time. 1 calorie of fossil fuels to grow 0.1 calorie of food makes no sense. Yeah, and Mr. Harris goes, he does a really good job of describing how all the subsidies have gotten us to this point where if nobody at the supermarket is paying anywhere near the actual cost of what it takes to produce conventional confined animal operation raised food or monocrop vegetable food or monocrop grain, there's just, it's so, I mean, you're paying for it somewhere. You're paying for it through your taxes through the most part and through inflation and all these other, kind of tactics that are underway. But even with the inflation, the true cost is not represented. If you took that true cost and compared it to what we pay for locally grown meat, and nearly everything we buy at this point in terms of meat and dairy product is locally produced and raised. And by locally, I mean within less than an hour from my home, stuff that we don't do on our own, those prices will end up almost matching. In some ways, you get a better deal buying local. You for one thing, you get more for your money because your meat's not injected with water or weird colorings to make it look, quote, beefier. So, yeah. until that true cost is represented in conventional food, I don't think too much of things are going to change. But, I'm going to celebrate any person that just tries to do a little bit better, a little at a time. Chicken Duck says, I wish I could be in that space more often, but I think we're doing okay up here so far. I said this in a video I put out earlier. Last thing I want to do is tell people how to do things. I actually hate doing that because I hate being told what to do. But all I suggest is, little steps at a time, and just look at your soil. Look at your soil and see what your soil is doing. Keep your soil covered, cover crop, and try to move your animals as much as you can. Whether it's just a few animals, it doesn't really matter. But it's like paying into good soil. It's like paying into a savings account that actually has a real interest rate on it. It just continues to give more to you instead of us coming to things from an extractive mindset. I don't have my tinfoil hat here, but I mean, we can go down all the rabbit holes. We won't worry about it tonight, but I'm kind of the opinion that maybe certain people don't have our welfare in mind, and well, it's money. That's just all it is. And Jim Kunstler says this. He said, it happened because it seemed like a good idea at the time, and then you have so many good ideas at the time, builds a certain amount of momentum, and here we are. So there's just, it's real clear how we got here. What it's not clear is how long it'll take before we can do something a little more reasonable. One other quick thing I wanted to share with you guys. If you haven't followed them yet, check out the YouTube channel Off Grid and Growing. That's Sean and Jess. They're in a little community about an hour west of me, and we've been collaborating on a number of things. Their latest video is up. I think they've been doing one every other week, but it's almost like an hour long. So they've decided to go for more high quality, long form content where they kind of cover multiple things in one video as far as what they're up to on their off grid homestead. And in this last one, about 2/3 of the way through, I went out for a visit and we filmed and talked about food forest design. So they're great folks, very good video editors and all that stuff. And Sean and I are talking about a number of collaborations that he and I are going to work on in terms of foraging classes and things of that nature. So when I know more and we have things to announce, you guys will be the next to know. I have a stack of notes and things I need to prepare for him before we can move forward on that. But I think we do have a date on the calendar to do our first filmed foraging walk, and I just need to put together an outline, and we're going to build it into a coursework. I'll pause here for a second. Chicken Duck, thank you very much for coming by. Thank you for participating, and you know how to holler at us if you need anything. So Brian says those guys are doing great. They really are. They are realistic people doing things with, these are not people who showed up with unlimited funds to just do what the hell ever. They've had to be very deliberate about everything that they've done, much in the way we've had to do out here. So I admire them. I like them very much, and I am happy to help them however I can going forward. And it sounds like we're just kind of working out a very nice exchange. And I know in my case, video production is one of the last things I want to do. I just don't want to fool with it. So if Sean's willing to film and splice together my teaching, and then I can put that up on my website as a product, that's hugely beneficial in helping me take the business in the direction that I want. So in terms of taking the business in the direction that I want, I put out a new video today that is an updated, what is this business? What is Strong Roots Resources? How can it serve you? because I've had a number of interactions lately that have helped me dial in how I want to run things. Um, Essentially, I am going to continue to reduce the amount of installation work that I do for many reasons. Mostly because this carpal tunnel business just continues to be a real pain in the rear. I went into the doctor today and got cortisone injections for the first time since October, so it's been a while, but it was really bad. Most of the time, when I'm trying to sleep, my hands and my arms are burning. And used to, I could wear splints and it would not be a problem. It would not affect me. And the splints aren't working anymore. And medicine's not working. Meloxicam's not working. Stretching's not working. Chiropractic isn't helping all that much. I hate to say that because I have a wonderful chiropractor, but I have to be a lot more deliberate about how much hardcore labor I'm putting in. So things like plunging a shovel into the ground, pushing on things a lot, running a lot of machinery. So I continue to steer this business less in the realm of labor and more in the realm of the education, the consulting, and the design work. So, and I have kind of I haven't been as good at relaying that to a wider audience. So that's why I put the video out there. Went ahead and shared it on my social media. I know a bunch of you guys share my stuff, and that means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. Because I continue to get, I've got 2 new consults on the calendar today, people who just contacted me from local referrals. So that was wonderful. But there's also been, I've had some frustrations with people who I cannot get on the same page with in terms of clients and customers. Not often, but enough to where I need to be even more discerning about who is going to be my customer. So I want to be careful about how I state this because I have absolutely no problem taking personal responsibility when I've had when I have not communicated effectively with somebody. That's something that is important to me. So I've had to kind of deal with a situation where there was some miscommunication. I have a customer with they perceive it as a problem. I don't quite see it as a problem, but this is I still have to address it and try to find a satisfactory resolution on this. So going forward, no more customers in HOAs. Period. Sorry, guys. I don't even know why you would want to be in one. I can't imagine being told what I can and cannot do with my property, or being so worried that you could get into some kind of conflict with the HOA entity because of having food plants in your yard, having pollinator plants in your yard. And while I've got it in my documentation that dealing with the HOA is entirely the customer's issue, it's not mine. I'm not going to try to research the bylaws. I'm just not going to play that game. That's why I don't try to go for grants. It's why I don't play the game with the government. So I'm just going to have to just take that off of, just going to have to decline those people. And there's other people I can refer them to locally, and I will, and I don't mind to do that, but it's just officially too much of an aggravation for me personally. And that's really been, frankly, that's where the bulk of my issues have been. That has been kind of the underlying factor. So, and then kind of the other side of this that I wanted to get to tonight and get your all's feedback on is what is actually worth worrying over. I would say that this is a broader question because I've kind of seen this crop up in multiple conversation threads on multiple groups. So it's that time of year where obviously everything is blooming, everything is coming in, and there is this sort of freak out. I don't know if that's the best term, but that's what I got off the moment. Freak out people when they see something in the yard that they don't want. They perceive it to be bad. Now, I've had plenty of conversations about invasive species, and as somebody who has flipping calorie pear, spiny, thorny, vicious calorie pear all over this farm that I will be working on for probably the next 5 years to get rid of it all. Yes, there are certain things that I don't want around on my property, and that's one of them. But what's interesting to me is the perception. So for some people, it's, it's certain kinds of weeds in their garden. And, they say a weed is anything that's somewhere you don't want it. And what I don't quite understand is this need that certain people have to try to have like this iron-fisted control over nature. I think it might be our biggest screw up as a human race. Because you can see this from somebody who's worrying over a piece of grass coming up in their flower bed to the way clear cutting is done because we have the equipment and the manpower and the fossil fuels to be able to do so. This kind of manifest destiny. I'm going to what's the word I want? I'm going to, use all of my human ingenuity to make this natural area as artificial or as controlled as I want it. And Brian's right. You can't change them. And I don't want to. I just want to avoid them completely. I pulled a bunch of groups off of my Facebook feed because it's all the same questions and it's all the same freak out. And it's like suddenly like all this stuff gets demonized. And I guess I'm just asking the question of where does that behavior come from? And what can I personally do if I find myself exhibiting that behavior? Because I really like to keep it in check. I mean, yes, do I pull weeds? Of course I do. I pull things out of areas that I don't want them. But I'm not like slathering in fury over it. I just see like, I pulled some Johnson grass out of one of my out of my elderberry beds today. I don't want giant Johnson grass coming up in there. I don't see the Johnson grass as being an issue because it's rabbit food. Then it becomes manure. Then it becomes fertility. So when I talk to people about this, when I talk to my clients about the beauty and the complexity of closed loop systems and how the problem is the solution, and I go through and sometimes I even have in-depth descriptions of the 12 principles of permaculture, and there's still. It's like I never said anything. It's like like I said, this is not everybody. Like sometimes like when you blow somebody's mind, it's so satisfying. And I know it's weird because I don't really like to evangelize stuff, but I guess I do want to share things that I'm passionate about. So I would just like to, I want to make sure I'm doing a good job expressing this stuff to people, because it's like, I wonder, am I just not explaining this well? Or are some people just kind of willfully ignorant? Because that does happen for sure. I've been around them quite a bit. I can't remember who said it, and it might have been Spirko or somebody like that, but some people are unteachable. So my job is to make sure I know that before I agree to provide services for somebody who can't or won't be taught. So Brian says we have been educated. We've been educated that way, learn and repeat. Yeah, I mean, that's really true. I mean, that's how my training went, in EMS. It literally, we call it see one, do one, teach one. And I to some extent, like I still employ that quite a bit. Like I will do that with teaching people how to, especially with a group of people, how to plant potted trees that are all root bound and stuff. You can very much like see one, do one, teach that to the next person. Very effective. It's kind of a military thing, but I guess for things that have more nuance, it's a lot more complex and more difficult. Yeah. So it's like, I wonder, Pippin Eyes has a good one here. You can't lead a human to knowledge. You can't make them. You can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think. I I don't know if I need to, maybe there's just more questions I need to ask of the customer before, or potential customer, before I just agree to take them on as a client. I don't want to make this sound like I've encountered this dozens and dozens of times. I haven't. I mean, it's literally, I can count on one hand the number of times I have ran into this. And at this point, I checked my list the other day, and I have had 60 consulting clients since starting this in 2020. So I think that's pretty good. But I was actually, because I couldn't sleep last night, I was up reading, Brian, on qualifying customers and how to kind of run them through a little bit of a gamut to determine if you do want to build a relationship with them. Because what we do together is, it's kind of personal. You know, to me, like, if I can only imagine what it would be like if I brought somebody up here to consult with me. You know, I have a real attachment to this place. So I want to me, that's important to be conveyed. So, and speaking of the long term, that was actually, that's actually something that I changed. So I had an unlimited package. I got rid of it. Now, the people who have already hired me and have that unlimited package, I will of course continue to honor that. I'm not going to rescind that. But going forward, unless I communicate it otherwise, because there will be a few people where this can be an exception because I trust these people inherently. But for most, it's going to be an 18 months, so a year and a half consulting term. And I've got price points set up for if you want to work within that time frame, or if you are working slower, I've got a cheaper option where I simply don't bombard you with as much information. I simplify things a little bit, and that can be implemented over a longer term. And of course, there's nothing to stop somebody from picking me up again in a couple of years and throwing down another $500 and saying, hey, can you help me now that we're at this stage? So, yeah, 16 or 18 months is still long term, but I went back and looked at, I pulled up the communication thread via email of the people who I had to put the most time in for, that were kind of the most complex to deal with. And I decided I can handle that amount, especially because I'm going to do a better job of vetting customers going forward. So, like I said, this is not something that's been a massive issue, but it has been on my mind enough that meant I needed to address it. So, more teaching, more foraging walks, more classes here on the farm, plant identification, helping people understand what's going on with their land, why things are the way they are, and how they can work with those systems. Less actual me telling you what to do, because I hate telling people what to do. I can make suggestions, I can educate, but you know, I can't know exactly how everything is going to do. I cannot tell you if you put this tree in this spot, it's going to do exactly this. So, and that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I landed. I got the website front page updated. I did the video, and that's what we're going to roll with from here on out. I have enough labor currently lined up just with a few different people that I don't think I'm going to add any more labor until at least July. So, you know, I've got a certain amount that I've agreed to do for some folks because we've worked out a really good system and it's working well. And otherwise it's like not busting my rear end physically so much. You know, I'm training 2 or 3 days a week. I'm happy with that. I've been off the weightlifting for a few weeks. I want to get back onto that. I got to get the energy from somewhere. So that's just kind of how that's going to go. I'm going to check my notes here and make sure I didn't forget anything. So I kind of put it all together at the last minute like I've been known to do. Yeah, we're in good order. So, like Brian said, pick your customers. I mean, that's the idea. If I was just going to put up with whatever, I just go back to a job, and I just don't want to do that. I do have one more question for you guys. So the place where I used to work on the ambulance, our operations center, their operations center, it's like a mile and a half down the road. Last time I drove past there, the gates were open. Like the gates would break all the time, and you couldn't, you know, used to you had to like have a code and stuff. They probably haven't changed the code, but I forgot it. Anyhow, should I do a victory lap in the parking lot? You guys let me know. Nobody's going to know the Jeep. That's the thing. I wasn't driving it then. 99% of the people who work there when I was there are gone. But should I do, because it's like a loop. Like I could literally do a victory lap at the old operations center if I was so inclined. I drive past it all the time. If I do it, I should probably film that, right? Is that going to get me in trouble? Am I taking it too far? It's just, I drive past there and I'm just like, there were people. See, I didn't tell anybody that I was leaving except for one partner and the supervisor who I had to get my notice to. And there was another supervisor where I heard later said, he'll be back. They always are. Well, guys, in October, it'll be 5 flipping years that I have not been at that place. So, yeah, Brian, you're right. I had to turn around and miss my turn. Well, there are railroad tracks right there. So, sometimes you got to divert because of the train having to stop on the tracks or whatever. And Pippin suggests a burnout. Man, tires are expensive. The XJ would break tread. I don't know. If I wanted, I tell you what I could do. If I wanted to smoke something, all I have to do in the XJ, I don't know what's wrong, it's an XJ, is reverse up a hill preferably with a trailer, but even without a load, reverse up a hill while cutting the wheel really sharp. Smoke pours out of the hood. I do not know what it is. I don't know if I'm burning up the power steering pump. It does leak. I have to add fluid from time to time. I don't know if oil's just getting onto a belt somewhere. I don't know, but so I could smoke it. So I guess I could do reverse burnouts and go from there. So all right, well, we've got a consensus up here. I'm gonna have to pull a victory lap next time I'm over that way. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. We've been on for an hour. I know Angel's working on dinner, and I'm pretty hungry. I've been running around like a crazy person all day between errands and stuff here on the farm. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. I always appreciate that you do that. And I'll keep you posted. We'll talk to you next time.